Good morning, Bande Matram. Welcome to this session of Savitri summarization. Here we are going to discuss this morning. This is actually, it is a great day for you. Happy Diwali. I wish Bon Diwali, Happy Diwali. So on this great day, we are going to discuss a great topic that is on a cry of adoration. That is taken from the World Soul, Book 2, Canto 15. So this is the topic of discussion for this session of Savitri summarization, Book 2, Canto 14. And the topic of discussion will be on a cry of adoration. It is taken from the World Soul, Book 2, Canto 4. So a couple of lines we are going to read and then we'll try to come for the summarization. So Sri Aurobindo quotes in the very beginning, a covert answer to his seeking came. A covert answer to his seeking came in a far simmering background of mind space. A glowing mouth was seen, a luminous shaft, a reckless gait it seemed, musing on joy, a veiled retreat and escape to a mystery. Beautiful topic. So a covert answer to his seeking came. Seeking is there from Osapati and the answer is covert answer. Where in a far simmering background of mind space, again, far simmering background of mind space, a glowing mouth was seen. A glowing mouth was seen, a luminous shaft, that answer is coming. And a veiled retreat and escape to mystery. So again, here in the course, away from the unsatisfied surface world, away from the unsatisfied surface world, it fled into the bosom of the unknown. A well, a tunnel of the depths of God, it plunged as if a mystic groove of hope through many layers of formless, voiceless self to reach the last profound of the world's heart. Anyway, let us hear in the course. They are simmered, stealing out into the mind, a mute and quivering ecstasy of light. They are simmered, stealing out into the mind, a mute and quivering ecstasy of light, a passion and a delicacy of roseate fire. Against here in the course, he travelled, led by a mysterious sound. He travelled. How he is travelling? Of course, led by a mysterious sound, a murmur multitudinous and alone. Round him it is actually, you can see he is visualizing the things. A murmur multitudinous and alone. All sound it was in turn, yet all the same. So just imagine how the shape is there, because it is world soul. The topic is world soul. Canto. So a hidden call to unforeseen light. A hidden call to the unforeseen light. It is in the beginning. In the summoning voice of one long known, a well loved, but nameless to the unremembering mind, it led to rapture back the truant heart. So later we can come forward and see some beautiful occasions here in the course. An incense floated in the quivering air. So just imagine how the purified, how the great, how the calmness about the purified, the purification of the air Sri Aurobindo describes. An incense dhup floated in the quivering air, a mystic happiness trembled in the breast, as if the invisible beloved had come, assuming the sudden loveliness of a face. Just imagine. An incense floated in the quivering air. Air is actually quivering air. Incense is floating. A mystic happiness trembled in the breast, as if the invisible beloved had come, assuming the sudden loveliness of a face. And the close glad hands could seize his fugitive feet. Close glad hands could seize his fugitive feet. Feet is actually, it is fugitive going on, and there is actually, he can find the touch of the beloved, invisible beloved. And the world changes with the beauty of a smile. The world changes with the beauty of a smile. Into the wonderful bodiless realm he came. About this realm, here in the course, it is a wonderful bodiless realm he is coming. Again, a depth he felt answering to every height. A depth he felt that is answering to every height. A nook was found that could embrace all worlds. A nook was found that could embrace all the world. A point that was the conscious knot of space. A point that was the conscious knot of space, an hour eternal in the heart of time. Again, the silent soul of all the world was there. In that realm, you can find the silent soul of all the world was there. A being lived, a presence and a power, a single person who was himself and all. A being lived, a presence and a power, a single person who was himself and all, and a cherished nature, sweet and dangerous throbs, transfigured into beats, divine and pure. Again, one who would love without the return for love, meeting and turning to his best the worst. It healed the bitter qualities of earth, transforming all experience into joy. Just imagine how that transformative atmosphere is there, calmness is there. Beautiful, magnificent world, bodiless realm, wonderful bodiless realm like this. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes a letter. The intimacy of God was everywhere. All grew to all kindreds and self and near. The intimacy of God was everywhere. No veil was felt, no brute barrier in earth. Distance could not divide, time could not change. A fire of passion burned in spirit depths. A fire of passion burnt in spirit depths. A constant touch of sweetness linked all hearts. You can remember the calendar, the message given in 2020 calendar, a constant touch of sweetness linked all hearts, you have seen. So here also you find the same line here in page number 291, book 2, Canto 14. The throb of one adoration, single bliss in a rapt ether of undying love. Again, an inner happiness abode in all, not outer, inner happiness abode in all. A sense of universal harmonies, a measureless secure eternity of earth, truth and beauty and good and joy made one. Here was the wailing core of finite life. Here was the wailing core of finite life. A formless spirit became the soul of form. Just imagine how great a description is that. Here was the wailing core of finite life. A formless spirit became the soul of form. So in that lucent realm, we find Asapati is traveling, and of course sketching his experience and explaining the experience why it actually he keeps feeling from time to time. So let us summarize whatever we have read so far in our in that description. We have to go for the gist. So far we have covered now till now. So in the course, a bright opening appears far in the mind space. Bright opening appears far in the mind space, leading to some depths of God. It beckons him with a quivering ecstasy of light. It beckons him how quivering ecstasy of light, and Asapati enters the tunnel-like passage. Enters the passage is actually tunnel-like. He is led by a mysterious sound. Already we have seen. Led by a mysterious sound, which is a composite of many sounds. It is a single sound, mysterious sound, but it is composite of many sounds. A fluid cell we have seen, and we have of course sketched that mysterious sound we have seen, flute cell, cricket note, anklet bells, cavern twinkle, and temple gong, and the bee croon, and of course this is a beautiful sound we can see, the sound of many varieties, many sounds. I will quote it again. Flutes call, cricket note, anklet bells, cavern tinkle, and latter temple gong, bee croon, and sea wave. These are the sounds. It is actually being followed. Many many composite of many sounds. It is actually following. It is actually accompanying him. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautiful. He arrives into the bodiless realms. Already we have seen magnificent bodiless realms. He enters the heart of space and heart of time. Here he enters the home of the soul of the world. He is entering. Here is the soul being, the person who transmutes nature's movement into the divine form. That transformation is there, who leads the cosmos to the divine fulfillment through all the vicissitudes. So here is the being whose work is that person who transmutes nature's movements into the divine term. Nature's movement into the divine term. Again, who leads cosmos to the divine fulfillment through all the vicissitudes. Here is the source of all finite life. Already we have seen here is the chamber of all finite lives. Again, little bit forward, we will see all here is made of the soul stuff, nothing of the mental, vital, physical, everything actually here made of the soul stuff. Knowledge proceeds not by thought but by identity. Beautiful. Knowledge proceeds not by thought but by identity. Knowledge by identity, know by identity. The phrases we find often in, even if it is not from often, but it has got its great symbolization and great significance there. The walls of speech are not there because everything is contained in the soul space. Nothing, neither separative life nor the concrete form of the body is here. It is totally a different realm. No separative life nor concrete form of the body is here. The soul is its own form and meets everything. Everything is actually containing that soul stuff, and these souls directly we can find here the description meets other souls. This soul directly Ashwapati begins to know things by their soul and not by their shape. He communes without speech. So here speech has got no need. Everything is managed, maintained, of course, articulated by the soul and soul stuff. There Sri Aurobindo again quotes little bit forward. She quotes, this is a strange spiritual scenery with patterns of the soul, beauty and joy, celestial fragrance and hue. Already we have seen that incense and all already we have discussed. Anyway, there is a strange spiritual scenery with patterns of soul, beauty and joy, celestial fragrance and hue. It is a home of beauty. Beautiful, it is a home of beauty. Here the world and self are one. That is a great description. Here to rest all the things after death. Here to rest all the things after death on earth. After death on earth, here all things rest. And before they take the next embodiment, so before the rebirth, you can find the world soul that already we have seen and we have experienced that fashioning chamber of the soul. We have already quoted previously. And of course we see that Chaitya, that world of the soul world, this is there, and it is the beautiful. We can find all beings after death on earth, they rest here, and they take the next embodiment. They assimilated their life experiences and prepare for the future lives. Already we know after the death, this body gets dissolved in the Panchabhuta. Then life, actually vital world is there in the second phase. After completing the formalities, then mind goes to the mental realm. Then later the soul goes to the psychic world, where it actually rests, prepares for the next birth, assimilates the experiences which have to be carried out and which are not useful, that must be thrown out. So these are the fashioning chamber of the soul. This is the cycle. So this is fashioned here beautifully. It has been quoted. This after death evaluation is done here. This is the psychic world. So this is the real point of description we can see here. This is the center of creation from where the being is cast. Center of creation from which the being is cast. Anyway, so we will go a little bit forward and try to quote a few lines from original Savitri. Then we'll go for next one. All here they are the soul and made of the sheer soul stuff. A sky of soul covered the deep soul ground. Already everything we have discussed in and already we have seen. A touch of consciousness on consciousness, a sympathy of self with other selves, and the beings look on being with inmost gaze, and heart laid bare to heart without wall of speech, and the unanimity of seeing minds in myriad forms luminous with one God. We can find the touch of consciousness on consciousness, touch of consciousness on consciousness, and beings look on being with inmost gaze, and heart laid bare to heart without walls of speech. and the unanimity of seeing minds in myriad forms luminous with one God. This is there, it is there. Life was not there but an impassioned force. That great description. Life was not there but one great impassioned force. Again, finer than fineness, deeper than the deeps, felt as a subtle and spiritual power, a quivering out from soul to answering soul, a mystic movement, a close influence, a free and happy and infinity, intense approach of being to being with no screen or check. Everything is free, free interference, everything is free. So body was not there, for bodies were needed not. Body was not there, but bodies were needed not. Without we actually then soul itself was the own deathless form. Already we have seen bodies were not, the body was not there, for bodies were needed not. The soul itself was its own deathless form, and met at once the touch of other souls, close, blissful, concrete, wonderfully true. Already we have described soul made the souls, other souls, close, blissful, concrete, and wonderfully true. There is no gulf, no gap. Then again, Sri Aurobindo quotes here. Here, where reality was its own dream, he knew things by their soul and not by their shape. Only the answering soul, the concrete thing, the symbol is only soul. As those who have lived long, made one in love, need word nor sign for hearts reply to heart, because everything is all transparency, all communication is through the soul only. He met and communed without bar of speech, nothing was required. He met and communed without bar of speech with beings unveiled by a material frame. There was a strange spiritual scenery. Again, a loveliness of lakes and streams and hills, a flow, a fixity in a soul space, and the plains of and the valleys and the stretches of soul joy. Everything almost accompanied and of course influenced and led by the soul only. And Sri Aurobindo course, its meditations of tinged reverie and the gardens where that were flower tracks of the spirit, soul, everything, no speech, no bar, no mind, no barrier, no wall, nothing is there. A fragrance wandered in a colored haze, as if the scent and hue of all sweet flowers, already we have seen, we have experienced, had mingled to copy the heaven's atmosphere. Beauty lived there at home in her own house. Everything is beautiful. Beauty lived there at once in his own house. There all was beautiful by its own right and needed not the splendor of a robe. Everything was beauty. You don't have to go for the spa, or you have to design and redesign. It is already there. It is existing by its own right. All objects were like the bodies of the gods. Whatever the object you see, you find that were the objects, bodies of the like the bodies of the gods. A spirit symbol environing a soul, for world and self were one reality. Again, we little bit we go forward and find the next phase of discussion. Past were the pillar past were birth and death. Past was the little sin of symbol deeds. Past were the heavens and hells of their long road. They had returned into the world's deep soul. That already we have seen little bit before, that the world fashioning chamber of the soul and all we were finding. In the shining chambers of the spiritual sleep, past where the again immersed in voiceless internal trance, the beings that once wore forms on earth sat there in shining chambers of spiritual sleep. So we can find the rebirth procedure in shining chambers of spiritual sleep. Previously we have seen the great name fashioning chamber of the soul. Past where the pillar posts of birth and death. Past where was their little sin of symbol deeds. Past where the heavens and hells of their long road. They had returned into the world's deep soul. They had returned into the world of deep soul. All now was gathered into a pregnant rest. Person and nature suffered a slumber change. Everything is there. This is the psychic world. Everything suffered a slumber change. In trance, they gathered back their bygone selves in a background memories forcing muse prophetic of a new personality. So things will be happening, rebirth and all, it has been processed. A person persistent through the lapse of worlds, although the same forever in many shapes by the outward mind unrecognizable. Many births have been taken, birth and death, ceaseless alterations cause, but actually outward mind can't recognize. Assuming names unknown in unknown climes, nobody can remember, it can't be remembered. Imprints through time upon art's worn page. A growing figure of its secret self and learns by experience what the spirit knew. That's what the soul has come to take experience, growth and progress and grow. So later we will go further. Once more they must face the problem game of birth. Problem game of birth, and it is taken up, of course, described about the rebirth and all. The soul's experiment of joy and grief and the thought and impulse and blind act and venture on the roads of circumstance. Problem game of birth, that rebirth, that problem game, and venture on the roads of circumstance, lighting and the blind acts. So these are the things where it is actually carried out. So ever they change and changing ever grow. Things are there. It is preparation, because we know already. We are not going to discuss, analyze word by word, line by line. Ever they change and changing ever grow, and passing through a fruitful stage of death, and long after reconstituting sleep, resume their place in the process of the gods. Until their work in cosmic time is done, this will be taking place. Birth, rebirth, death, rebirth. It will be a continuous phenomenon. It will be going on until the work is in cosmic time is done. Resume their place in the process of the gods until their work in the cosmic time is done. So things will be going on. Anyway, whatever we have taken so far, we'll try to summarize it a little bit in a couple of lines, then we'll go for the concluding session of the discussion. Beyond the regions of delight and peace, beyond the region of the delight and peace, Ashwapati becomes aware of eternity and pass to an end which is also the beginning. The end which is also beginning. What we feel end, that is the beginning, end of this life and the beginning of the next. So what we know, the end is also a new beginning. He arrives at the source of all things, and there he beholds the figure of the immortal two in one. Figure of the immortal two in one he finds, whose rapturous trance sustains the mobile world. Beautiful, he beholds the figure of the immortal two in one, whose rapturous trance sustains the mobile world. Behind this dual presence, so this duality we can find. Behind the dual presence, he regards the Divine Mother with a veil. Divine Mother with a veil, that is a great criteria, great sin. She is the ruler of all, pervading all with power and effecting all with will. The presence of the Divine Mother is glimpsed and beheld by Ashwapati. That is a great thing. And we'll read and quote Sri Aurobindo how the real brilliant scenery is. Now we are going to, of course, see in a couple of lines. Sri Aurobindo quotes, anyway, that is what we have already, again we are seeing here was the fashioning chamber of the soul. Already we have seen, that's what chambers of the soul, spiritual sleep we have seen. Now itself we see, here was the fashioning chamber of the worlds, an interval twixt, was left twixt act and act, twixt birth and birth, twixt dream and waking dream. So this is the interval between act and act, because one is going and another is coming, that intermediary period. An interval was twixt act and act, left twixt act and act, twixt birth and birth, twixt dream and waking dream. A pause they gave that gave new strength to do and be. Like we are sleeping in the night after getting retired from whole day's work. After the rest for one night, then the early morning coming in a new version, new phase, new shape. So you are getting that no tiredness is there, no fatigue is there. With own immediacy and with own new vigor and all, you are moving forward. Beyond were regions of delight and peace, mute birthplaces of light and hope and love. Just imagine how the wonderful description has been given on the rebirth. And the cradles of heavenly rapture and repose, in a slumber of voice of the world, he of the eternal moment grew aware. He of the eternal moment grew aware. His knowledge stripped bare of the garbs of sense. It is not confined, it is getting past. Knew by identity. Just now we were holding and we were discussing the thing. Knew by identity. Because this is what the purpose of the yoga. Know by identity. Getting identity, you are knowing the things. And of course, another phrase is also there, knowledge by identity. Knew by identity without thought or word, because he's getting identified and taking the experience. No need of thought and word or previous description books, nothing is required. Life's line fell in the spirit's identity. Spirit's identity, nothing required of the physical, mind, or vital. Along a road of pure interior light, then alone between the tremendous presences, he is alone because nobody has gone there, nobody has behold the things. His soul passed on a single conscious power towards the end. His single power, already Sri Aurobindo quoting. His soul passed on a single conscious power, single and conscious, towards the end which ever begins again. Again the new beginning is there. Approaching through a stillness dumb and calm to the source of all things human and divine. He is approaching the seeing. Again, a single being in two bodies clasped, the figure of the deathless two in one. There he beheld in the mighty union's poise the figure of the deathless two in one, a single being in two bodies clasped, a diarchy of two united souls seated absorbed in deep creative joy. Their trance of bliss sustained the mobile world. Again, we can see little further, we can see. She reigns, inspirer for its multiple works, and the thinker and of the symbol of its sin. Above them all she stands supporting all. Once more you can remember that great message that was also in the calendar. Above them all she stands supporting all. The sole omnipotent goddess ever veiled. That is what the great divine mother, that description is going on. The sole omnipotent goddess ever veiled, of whom the world is the inscrutable mask. The edges are the footfalls of her tread, their happenings the figure of her thoughts, and all creation is her endless act. This is the great description of the divine mother, great divine mother. His spirit was made a vessel of her force. They are approaching and reaching Ashwapati fields. His spirit was made a vessel of her force, mute in the fathomless passion of his will. He outstretched to her his folded hands of prayer. He outstretched to her his folded hands of prayer. Then in a sovereign answer to his heart, a gesture came as the world's thrown away. So a light appeared, still and imperishable, attracted to the large and the luminous depths. Then later, he saw the mystic outline of a face. This is the great description of the world mother, and at that time actually he is observing. He saw the mystic outline of a face, and again what is happening? Overwhelmed by her implacable light and bliss. Then towards the end, Sri Aurobindo quotes, he cast from the rent stillness of his soul a cry of adoration and desire. We'll read a little bit in after, we'll try to cross two lines, and then we'll try to finally quote Sri Aurobindo's concluding lines. Ashwapati is filled by her force, already we have seen, filled by her force, the great divine mother. He outstretched to her his folded hands of prayer, Jodahasta. She responds with a sovereign gesture. She, the world mother, divine mother, responds with a sovereign gesture, half parting her veil. She is responding with a gesture. He is cell-bound by the mystery of her luminous eyes, cell-bound with the divine, cell-bound with the mystery of the luminous eyes, and sees the mystic outline of her face. Beautiful. So it is a great description. Outline, mystic, mystery of a luminous eye, sees the mystic outline of her face. He is overwhelmed by her light, and bliss. With a cry of adoration, he falls at her feet, unconscious prone. This is the great surrender we have seen. He falls at her feet, unconscious prone, because he can be able to understand, know, identify her, and moreover knows her by knew by identity. So after this, actually, he is laid down at her feet, unconscious prone. So these 4 lines I will try to quote it again. He cast from the rent stillness of his soul. He cast from the rent stillness of his soul a cry of adoration and desire, and the surrender of his boundless mind. Again, the great surrender of his boundless mind, and the self-giving, again consecration, self-giving of his silent heart. First surrender is the surrender of his boundless mind. Next surrender, self-giving of his silent heart. Then later what happens after surrendering, self-giving, then what happens? He fell at her feet, unconscious, prone. The great description it is on the birth and the intermediary pain, on the cry of adoration, intermediary period between death and birth, then fashioning chamber of the soul we have seen, and later we are going forward to know the process of rebirth in the psychic world. So really, definitely it is a great topic and a great description by our master, Lord Sri Aurobindo, Mahayogi Sri Aurobindo, on this happiest occasion and this glorious occasion of so-called our Deepavali. We are rendering our heartful gratitude to this great creator, Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Vande Mataram.